Monasticism began in the deserts of North Africa with a group of saints known as the Desert Fathers. We've mentioned them before. They lived in the wilderness to the glory of God, and they left us rather a lot of interesting things to read. The Desert Fathers is a sort of subcategory of the early church fathers. They are monastic saints of the 3rd and 4th centuries. They lived in the desert in a life of asceticism and self-denial, choosing pain and difficulty to bring them closer to Christ rather than pleasure in the comforts of the city. The word ascetic, which means someone who lives a life of difficulty in order to achieve a spiritual goal, comes from an old word that means to train, as in to train for a sport. So the Desert Fathers are very much like spiritual athletes, and there are a lot of notable names amongst them. We have Anthony the Great, Paul of Thebes, Pachomius, Mother Syncletica, Moses the Black, Paul the Simple, John the Dwarf, and there are many, many more. In the writings of the Desert Fathers, they are often called by their title of Father or Abba, or for mothers it is Amma. Many Christians seeking solace and peace from the world at large would come to the Desert Fathers in the monasteries to seek wisdom, to seek guidance, and thus as a result many sayings, quotes, stories and experiences have been recorded and have been preserved for centuries. Some of the lessons are very strange and unusual and are made for monks specifically. Some are encouragements for every Christian, and some are practical life advice on how to be a Christian in a busy world. Our aim with this episode is just to introduce the Desert Fathers to you, as well as a few choice stories from the massive collection available. In A Story of Trusting God, there were 2 monks walking through the desert along the seashore. On one side was the salty water, and on the other the sands and heat of the desert. They had run out of water. The young monk calls out to the elder, Abba Bessarion, and says, "We need something to drink, we have nothing left." The elder walks over to the water, makes a sign of the cross, and says to the young monk, "Fill your cup with the seawater." The young monk is confused, but out of obedience he does this. He fills up his cup, takes a sip, and it is beautiful, clear, smooth water. He drains the cup and quenches his thirst. The elder smiles and continues to walk along the seashore. He soon realizes that his young friend is not with him, and he turns around to see where he's gone, and the young monk is still at that spot by the water filling up his drink bottle. And the elder says, "What are you doing?" And the young monk says, "Well, it's in case I get thirsty later." And the old monk is a bit confused and says, "God is here, God is everywhere." Another story says that Abba Arsenius was seen by his followers asking advice from a very old and very illiterate monk, and he was seen listening keenly to everything this old monk was telling him. And these younger monks were a bit confused, and they said to him, "Father, you speak Latin and Greek, you are educated in all of these philosophical things, and you're asking advice from a peasant." Abba Arsenius replied, "Yes, I know Latin, yes, I know Greek, I do not even know the alphabet of this man." It is a reminder that humility is needed to gain wisdom. There is a story of a young monk who had done something wrong and was ordered by the bishop to leave the church at once. The young monk was leaving, and as he was doing so, one of the holiest elders of the monastery followed him out the door. And everyone said, "Where are you going, Father?" And he replied with, "I also am a sinner." There are many quotes to love and to remember, including one that I like very much from Abba Xanthias that says, "A dog is better than I am, for he has love and does not judge." There is a great quote from Abba Agatho which reminds us about the dangers of anger, where he says that even if an angry man were to raise the dead, God would still be displeased with his anger. Your attitude matters even if you're right. There is a great anecdote from Abba Ammon, who describes the idea of 3 men living in the same town. One man lives in silence and stillness and prayer. The next man lives in constant illness, but loves and praises God. The third man is in perfect health and serves others. And he says all 3 men are doing the same job. All 3 men are serving God the same way. Abba Hypericus was once asked, "What is humility?" And he said, "It is to forgive a brother that has wronged you before he is sorry." And a very short and memorable quote from Abba Sisois is, "A form of pilgrimage is keeping the mouth closed." And that is a good place to end it. God is here. God is everywhere. Christ was there walking with the fathers in the desert, and he walks with us today, and that is a beautiful thought. Today's cup of tea is a mix of lemongrass, ginger, and citrus fruits. It is very nice, very refreshing, and probably quite healthy. Lemongrass is a very powerful taste, and I love it in tea.